We're on the air.
Okay.
Wow.
JR won last year. Correct. I've got my notes from.
You had one job.
Let me verify it. I'll be right back.
You're going to verify
Lord.
what? What's he verifying?
Who won last year?
Oh.
I think it was.
I think
Mike.
it wasn't me.
I'm pretty sure it was Mike.
It was Mike. It was Mike. It was Mike's first year. That's right. That was first year to win.
Yeah, because he mentioned on this after the when we got off the air for the Stan Lee cast that I told him that Dark Mark was gunning for him, and he's like, "Oh shit, better to start studying." So I have engineered a conflict between you two, and I'm gonna reap what's left when you've finished fighting.
Thank you.
Publish.
You're welcome. I'm a vulture.
All right. Let me pull up the YouTube chat so I can see people talking to us.
Yeah, because I've got everybody that's won in what year.
Okay, mute that. Symbio Bro, hey, you're the first. Bobby, what's up, guys? Josh Nelson. This actually startled me a bit. Yeah, you should be on this show for years. It startled me for a lot over the years. Chi-Town, wait a minute. You're in the chat, Chi-Town. Hello.
I am in the chat, and I'm with you guys, too. I'm at two places at once.
Arkilope? How you say that? Arkilope's corpse? Arkilocorpse. There it is. I got it.
Raise your hand if you teach kids how to speak for a living on TV.
And Dark Mark's son is here as well.
Oh, Grant, what's up, sir? YouTubers, we're waiting on two people, JR, and we're waiting on Mike to join us.
I'm going to go get me a drink. I'll be right back.
All right. So what we're doing, YouTube people, is we're recording the review show of 8 and 9, and then we're going to record Spider Jeopardy after this. But unfortunately, I don't want to do the YouTube chat because I think we might cheat with the YouTube chat.
Well, it's not so much cheating as like you could have a lot of people that just get it really excited, like Zach, and just blurt out the damn answer.
Yeah.
So it's best to not have. What we'll do. I got a good idea to take the place of that.
Okay, go ahead.
No. We'll get to it. We'll get to it
on the next show. Yeah.
Hey, JR.
JR's in the house.
Hey.
Waiting on Mike at the moment. We'll give Mike a couple minutes and then we'll move on. I'll instant message Mike. Have you ever talking the instant message thing there?
And the what?
The big group chat. Waiting on.
You're gonna fight the digital streets.
Give him the Google chat. George, you okay? You ready?
Yeah, I haven't slept well the last couple of nights.
I'm sorry, man.
George, we're leading with you for the first review, and then JR is the second.
All right.
You got 4 people watching us.
So you guys can see me pro another review where I basically go through the entire issue in like less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I like.
You gonna give it an A+?
Short and sweet. And
no, number 8 doesn't even get an A.
Oh. That just surprises me because I remember, like, I think it was issues 6 and 7, like, you were singing the title's praises.
Oh, no, it's still a great title. But yeah, 8's got some problems.
I agree with George with this already before I even hear what he says on the whole thing. I'm with him on that a little bit.
Yeah, I was
talking about spec reviews. It's a shame you guys don't review spec anymore. Josh Nelson, we do review spec.
It's not a shame we don't do it.
It's on the Patreon exclusive podcast. If you would like to support the podcast, go over there and you get a free podcast, probably a couple a month.
I feel like most of us stop reading it out of self-defense.
And turn January, there won't be a Spectre review anymore.
Yeah, that's sad, by the way.
Speaking of which, the latest spec review is up on the front site, and after spec goes back underground, we're reviewing Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man #1.
It's gonna hibernate until Cebulski sees fit to relaunch it again.
It's going underground like Locust. It'll come out every 7 days.
The Locust Swarm comes.
One thing I meant to say before we were live, but I'll just say it now. Kind of be aware of not stepping on each other. I know there's a little bit of a delay, but if you hear somebody talking, try not to yell over them to talk.
All right.
Zach.
Talking to you, clone. Oh my gosh, Neil, what are you eating now? Is that Taco Bell?
It's still Whataburger. These things are big.
And that little bitty window, it looked like a taco. When I full screened it, it went, what? Wait a minute. What does Zach got? He got Crown
So-
Royal?
He's got alcohol.
For when George starts ranting about Carly Cooper.
Oh, George, what are you drinking over there? What do I see?
I'm finishing off with Dr. Pepper, and then I have some iced tea.
There you go. And Chi-Town has a Coke, it looks like.
Go. Yep.
I was about to say, with you should have given George issue number 9, though. I mean, now we think about it, right?
Why?
What did we just talk about?
What did I just say?
Oh,
Doug?
no. I get a moment for that in this, too.
Oh! You mean during my spot? You mean you're going to jump in on my spot?
I get a chance to go off on a rant about the issue that I'm doing, and then we'll all go on and on a rant on the one that you're doing after you've given the summation. This is how we always do it, JR.
Well, I mean, hey, JR, do you want to know the ultimate
All right.
offense? You want to know the ultimate offense, JR?
What?
Is that George accidentally cloned you? He brought you down to Zach's level. He counted you twice.
All right, we're
I don't even get that.
no communication out of Mike. JR, can you tilt your camera down just a little bit? Let me look at your camera. Tilt a little less headroom.
Brad wants to see that sweet JR cleavage. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Eyes in the upper third, JR. There you go. No.
That is the most
Okay.
horrifying statement. in the history.
Nice. All right. Okay, you know what? I understand now, JR, what you're talking about. I should have flipped them. After I read the issue, I realized I should have flipped it and give that issue to George.
Oh, no. I'll still get to go off on this. thing.
I know. Because
I thought you
when-
would so thoroughly integrate it into your review that it would be.
I know. The thing is, I assigned the issues before I read what happened in 9. And when I read it at 9, I'm like, I should have flipped it. But George won't be short for words.
So basically,
It'll be just as bad.
you guys are acting like I'm not going to get a chance to bitch about it after he's given the review. We're all talking about it.
Okay, are we ready, everybody? Are we
I'm
ready?
Oh Lord.
George and JR, you're the ones doing the most talking on this one. You guys ready?
Yeah.
On this episode. Okay, coming down 3, 2, 1. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to this review episode. We're going to tackle 2 issues in this podcast. We've got, it's kind of hard to say these anymore. It's episode volume 5, issue number 8 and 9. And for Legacy, it's what, 609 and 610?
Yes. Why don't we?
No, 810.
809.
809 and 810. That's right. Okay.
You know what? I vote we just start calling them by their legacy numbers.
That's what I say.
I
support that 100%. Actually,
Let's just start calling them by their legacy numbers because the other
I
thing is
agree. The other thing is dumb. I would agree with that. All right, let's introduce who we've got on the panel. We've got Zach. What's going on, sir?
Well, I brought the alcohol for issue 9. Or 810. So
Zach is. This episode's brought by Crown Royal. Zach is having a little adult beverage. We have. And you have a shot glass, a Texas shot glass. There you go. And we have Neil chomping on a Whataburger as we are talking.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all Neil had to say for his intro. And we have Dark Mark. He's wearing an ASM 100 shirt. What's up, Dark Mark?
Not too much. Ready to get on with these 809, 810.
And
The
then,
wonders that I should.
and then the
been.
next episode we're recording tonight, Spider Jeopardy. We're going to have this whole panel on Spider Jeopardy.
Is that tonight?
After this, we have Peter Chi-Town Spidey. What's up, sir?
I'm ready.
What'd you just pop open, sir?
Coke.
Another Coke. How many Cokes is this today?
2.
2 dose. All right. And we have JR sipping on Metamucil. What's going on, JR?
Well, that's what happens. And, earlier we were talking about cleavage. And
I said to tilt your camera down. That was it.
I have to assure you that trust me, once you get to my age and beyond, you will all have cleavage. You'll have a lot of shrinkage and sinkage. Trust me.
I ask myself for 500 episodes why I do intros. Okay,
Maybe you should get that first
we all-
design for the shirt, Brad.
we also have George. What's going on, George?
Hi.
Hello.
Van Alex Trebek of Spider Jeopardy.
No
Stay
doubt.
tuned, folks.
So before we get to these reviews, I have one iTunes review that I'd like to read. We haven't had any iTunes reviews on the United States site since July. So if you write one, I will read one. But it'd be nice if you guys wrote one. So I was scanning other countries, and I found in the UK a nice guy by the name of Paul Picu, P-I-C-U. I hope if I didn't get your name wrong. Wrote a very nice review for us from the UK. And the subject title is Realized I'm a Fan and Not an Academic, and Spidey, 5 out of 5 stars. Quote, I have a long love with Spider-Man. I'm a 41-year-old doctor in psychology.
Wow.
One of my earliest memories was a Christmas present of a bed quilt with Spider-Man fighting the Green Goblin. I grew up watching the 90s animated series, having to wake up every Saturday morning to watch the new adventures. I replayed Dr. Doom's Revenge on my 8-bit PC again and again, but for some reason, when I was young, I never got into or knew about the comics. Perhaps it was the small Lancashire town I grew up in not having the shops, but I was oblivious to the deep history behind the characters. Until, of course, I was much older and the internet opened much more of this tale up for me, for better or for worse. Around 3 years ago, I found this podcast, and since that time, I've been hooked, devouring as many of the episodes as I can, and when I'm on my way to and from work, and getting strange looks as I chuckle on the train. It's listening to the members that I realize I still knew almost nothing about Spider-Man other than the basics. These guys are professional academics of Spidey. The show is great. It's genuinely funny, passionate, informative, and sometimes foul-mouthed. Always intelligent. If you have a love of Spidey, you should be listening to this podcast. So, Paul, that is such a nice review. And so cool to think a dude in the UK is hopping on a train and listening to these guys talk Spider-Man. What do you guys think of that review? It's so nice.
I always like the reviews from overseas. And
Me too.
it made me think real quick when he said professional and was talking about us. Really, the only person on here who can put professional and Spider-Man into the same sentence in regards to himself is JR.
Why? Because
published author J.R. Fettinger.
Oh.
You mean the guy that just talked about cleavage when I said hello, JR? Yeah, that guy's a professional.
I mean, he has an entire essay on Storm and Norman. I think that qualifies him as being a published professional.
Well, actually, I that was a long time ago, and they didn't even realize that I was me. They thought that I was somebody else, and they didn't want to pull the offer. That's how I always.
That's so funny. Grant Alford in YouTube chat says, "I love the podcast. I hope they get rid of that jerk JR." I mean George. I misread it.
We are
Mark, get your house in order. That's your son.
We live in a society.
We are done professionally, Grant Alford.
All right.
Yeah,
As Christian Bale would say.
Well, I mean, he's a Miles Morales fan. I thought you would have disassociated yourself from him as soon as you heard that part.
All right, let's tackle these two books. We're going to be done in an hour. George, give me a recap of number 8. I'm sorry, 608, 809. My
What?
God. Give me a recap of the first issue, is what I'm saying, George. Sorry.
Good Lord, are you okay?
No, I'm
You
not.
started spewing out
I don't know
numbers
why
there.
I keep going that it's issue 609, but it's 809. I
It's
missed it.
809.
Maybe I'm trying to block out all those slot issues.
I think he's depressed about the election and that McCaskill lost. You know,
and for those of you listening on the podcast too, because we had talked about this and the YouTubers heard it, we're just going to go with legacy numbering from now on.
Yeah, it's so much easier.
I don't agree with that.
And the other thing, well, you're stupid.
I
The guy likes Deb Whitman over Mary Jane.
Okay, George, take it, sir.
All right, so this is The Heist, Part 1 by Nick Spencer and Humberto Ramos. And it starts off with Spidey falling through the air, not swinging, but falling. And then just we got a big splash page of him falling, hurtling towards God knows what, and then we do a little time shift thing. There's a big club. There's a lot of people, a lot of young, beautiful, trendy people. Some older people with ties and their shirts open, so you know that they're trendy. and so you've got you've got like a bunch of security guards and like this hip trendy chick with a hip trendy haircut, and this douche bro who has a lot of money, like sees her from across the club, has to come over. The gist we get from that scene is that the girl is in charge, Odessa Drake, or the young woman, I should say, not girl, is in charge of a new criminal group called the Thieves Guild. And it turns out everyone in the club is in the Thieves Guild. And so while this guy's like, well, you can't be mad at me for bilking people out of money and all this other crap, and she goes, well, we're not mad at you. We're pissed that you didn't pay your dues. So the D&D fan in me loves this, by the way, the fact that there's a Thieves Guild. But actually, this was an interesting scene. The crowd sort of turns on the guy and then presumably rips him apart. Like a bunch of zombies, like a bunch of living zombies. So that was interesting. Meanwhile, Jarvis is giving like a tour of Avengers Mansion to what's this kid's name?
I don't think they ever. Hang on, let me look it up.
Jarvis calls him Mr. McGill, but like, is this kid somebody?
No, this is just some guy that they're hiring as like a manager for Avengers Mansion, because right now in Aaron's Avengers, they're using Avengers Mountain. So the mansion's kind of there as a formality. Avengers
Mountain. Okay.
It's Avengers Mountain is inside of a celestial.
A dead one.
A dead celestial.
So he's given this new intern a tour, and then he sees a lot of the items like that they've got in their display cases have been ripped off. Presumably, artifacts from God knows what, and all sorts of neat little things that the Avengers have picked up across their many adventures. We cut to a smorgasbord on the East River over in Brooklyn, and it's like big, like one of these like food tent things, and there's like a billion people out there, and it smells like rotten cabbage.
Do you see Dan Slott in the far left in the Fantastic Four shirt?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Wow. Why do you point that shit out to me?
Because I literally just saw it just a second ago.
Brad, you just made him like drop a whole letter grade just.
Anyway, so Peter and Mary Jane are having a little them time. They're eating ice cream out of waffle cones. Apparently, Mary Jane's was covered in Fruity Pebbles, which I thought was interesting. So, hang on. Let me turn my phone down. Hang on. Somebody just sent me a Facebook message.
So is Peter nibbling on Mary Jane's Fruity Pebbles or not?
I think they're sharing it together.
Wow. JR, this is a family show. So they're talking about Mary Jane's job hunt and the fact that Mary Jane has juggled a lot of careers.
And she's juggling more than that.
I'm out.
Someone's interrupting your segment, George.
and he's the oldest one. He's supposed to be the most mature.
Right.
Anyway. So we get like a little kind of like a nice little artistic flashback of the many Mary Janes.
I like that 59 with the go-go dancing outfit. That looks nice.
Yeah, the one that she was wearing inside the club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so they're having a nice day out there, surrounded by unwashed humanity, and and then Mary Jane gets a call on her phone from Tony Stark.
Mary Jane or Peter?
Peter, because it. Yeah.
Oh no, not Mary Jane. Yeah, pardon me. Yeah, and so I'll get to that later. Never mind. I almost inserted a rant there. We'll get to that later. That's coming. So Stark comes up, starts talking to Peter and Spidey and Mary Jane through the phone. And while he's having this conversation with them, he comes into one of his warehouses and he sees that it's empty. And then something's horribly wrong here. something's horribly bad. So you start seeing a pattern. Stuff is missing. Stuff's missing out of Avengers Mansion. Stuff's missing out of Stark's warehouse. We go to Captain America, who's in the middle of a fight with a whole bunch of people they had got their faces painted like that Daredevil villain Nuke. Remember?
Yeah, Nuke.
Back in the day. I didn't know that like Nuke was a movement now.
Yeah, he's in Captain America's solo book now.
Social justice warriors.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I think
So Captain America throws his mighty shield, as the song goes, and then it doesn't come back to him. It just disappears. Suddenly, the shield's gone. We cut to Thor having a big old fight with the wrecking crew, and then at some point, his hammer goes missing,
And a godly facepalm.
Yeah, and Thor face palmed, which we'll talk about later.
Probably what Thor's girlfriend said that one time, that his hammer was missing.
And
what's up with Dirty JR tonight? What's this about?
I don't know.
Man.
Well, the UK guy said things were foul mouthed. I just thought I would
Well,
bring
yeah, but anyway, go George. I'm sorry.
Thank you. All right, so Peter's got to run off to do Spider-Man stuff. Gives Mary Jane a kiss.
Aw.
Goes ahead and heads on out. I love that Ramos threw the freckles, or no, I guess it's not Ramos. I guess it's the inker. Threw the freckles in there. Nice touch.
Yeah.
And then we see Odessa Drake addressing the gathered masses of the Thieves Guild, and they've all got like slick outfits. If you're a villain group, you like and you're going to be like your AIM or your Hydra, you got to have cool outfits.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've got their own cool outfits. I think the Hand probably wants to have a word with them, but they've got their own cool outfits. And she's basically giving them a huge pep talk, and about how they're going to hit they're going to hit the vigilantes first, which is that's she's calling like the Avengers and all the other big heroes vigilantes. And so they're gonna hit them first, and they're gonna sort of like prove their dominion. That's her exact word, prove her dominion. Sort of stake out their territory. So these guys and gals, presumably, they split up, head on out, start running away from wherever they were, and apparently scatter across the entire planet. There's Celestial Mountain, Avengers Mountain, or whatever the hell. You see them hitting Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum. Suddenly, Ghost Rider is in the middle of nowhere and can't find his bike.
His car. Yeah, he got a car, George. It's okay.
It's a different guy.
It's not Johnny Blaze or Denny Ketch.
It's the Ghost Rider.
So I don't need to give a damn about that one. Okay, good.
He technically should be called the Ghost Driver. He doesn't ride. Yeah, I guess he does ride in a car.
He rides inside the car, Douglas.
Yeah.
No, if you're driving the car, you're not riding inside the car. You're driving the vehicle.
What if What if the guy? What if the? Never mind.
Anyway,
none of this has anything to do with my review.
I know.
All right. So Cyclops has lost his visor. Doctor Strange has lost the Eye of Agamotto. The Punisher has lost all of his guns, and Peter, while web swinging, loses his web shooters. That's where we saw him at the beginning of the issue. He's falling, no way to stop himself. Black Cat swings in to save our hero, grabs him up, stops him from falling, and then slashes him in the face. Right across the face. To be continued.
Yep.
That's your issue.
Okay. Let's get your grade, George.
This one got a B-.
Okay. Peter, grade.
A B.
JR.
A C.
Mark.
B+.
Neil.
B+.
Zach.
B-.
B out of me. George, pros.
I know I'm like one of the few, but I like Ramos's art.
Me too.
In this issue, I like it a lot.
I really do like Ramos's art in this.
I know.
The new villain and the new villain group they're actually interesting.
It's not a new villain group.
Yeah, it's not a new villain group, but she is new for the group.
The
Thieves Guilds are from Gambit. Gambit is from the Thieves Guild.
Oh, it's that thing like the Louisiana people?
Yeah.
I
I didn't realize that was the same group because
Yeah,
they
same
didn't
group.
It was
use
just
that.
a New York chapter.
Creative.
They didn't used to all like have like uniforms and everything.
Right.
Yeah. So they
Okay.
the first appearance was Gambit #1 in December '93. Creators are Howard Mackey and Lee Weeks.
Oh, Howard Mackey creation of this
Yeah.
group, huh?
And this is from the Marvel database, and they've had 24 total appearances in the 616.
But
Huh,
she's
realize
new.
same outfit.
That like the leader's new though.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen the leader before. but-
Yeah, she's new.
Yeah.
So they're in. That's another one of my pros. They're interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. You know, that's an interesting. I like that they can be interesting without having to like beat the hell out of the Hulk or something. You know, like they're not overcompensating like less talented writers would have
They stay in their
inside the
lane.
book. And so I like that. It's interesting. It's a new take on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
To do a counterpoint to that, George, they kind of did take on the heroes. They took the Eye of Agamotto. They took the web shooters.
Yeah, but they didn't beat the hell out of somebody.
They stole. Yeah, they stole. That's a little fair. Yeah.
Normally, like when you try to come in and you have somebody like established, they kick the crap out of like the Hulk or something like that, or in Slide's case with that one jackass from Battle World or whatever. What was that guy's name? I've already forgotten.
Regent.
Regent.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Regent like defeated every hero.
That's right.
Okay. So I like that we can do new things without having to overcompensate.
Yeah.
You know, we can just be some. Nick Spencer is subtle. Thank you, Nick Spencer.
That stealing is a little bit more subtle than beating the. Here's a good example. Slot probably would have had the Thieves Guild beat them all up unconsciously and then stole something.
There's no finesse in that. This is slick. This is creative.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Love seeing Peter and Mary Jane together.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't get enough of seeing Peter and Mary Jane together because we haven't had it all that often for the last decade.
Amen.
In this issue, did she talk about how she needed a career again? Yeah. I like that too, because that's often overlooked. Like, what's Mary Jane going to do for work?
Yeah. So, you know, I like them being together. But there was also things that I didn't like.
Cons. We'll get to that in a second.
But we'll get to that later.
Let's open it up for pros. Who would like to go first? Zach, go ahead.
I'll jump in. Two things. There is a Thieves Guild connection to Spider-Man.
Oh, what?
Kane, the Scarlet Spider, was indebted to the Thieves Guild.
No, that's the Assassin's Guild.
I thought it was the Thieves Guild.
No, in the third
There's
issue
different guilds?
of Kane's SS run, he goes to a flashback and reveals that he took 2 of the Assassin's Guild's contracts.
Wow.
Not the Thieves Guild. Yeah.
I thought they were all the same. My bad. Okay.
I think they're tied in a little bit, aren't they? I often think
by Belladonna and Gambit's marriage, I think.
Oh, okay. So by Gambit getting married, he made the 2 guilds one, or
it was a loose alliance, kind of.
Okay.
So there's a small connection between the two.
Yeah.
Liked this. I mentioned it whenever George was going over it with Ramos's art. This is far and away the best Ramos art we've gotten in years, and I think it's because Ramos actually had time to really invest in making the artwork. Because there's Ramos's deadline style, and then there's Ramos's style when he has time to when he's not rushed and hurried. And this is the not rushed and hurried, which I feel far superior to what we've gotten over the last several years. Because it seems like every time they bring Ramos in, it's just basically because Slot can't get a deadline done. So I enjoyed his Mary Jane. I liked the Mary Jane montage. I liked how it was a little more organic, and I'm probably going to disagree with George here. At least they've used the current Mary Jane world continuity in a far more subtle way. It doesn't really beat you over the head with the Stark stuff as much as it could have. Yeah. I kind of chuckled at the Thor facepalm, but I'm always a sucker for a good facepalm. So
Bobby in YouTube chat wants our opinion about Peter's voiceover of how Mary Jane wants to, quote, settle down. What's our thoughts on that one? It's because I can read the panel. I've got it. Peter says, quote, MJ's been on the occupational merry-go-round for a long time, from model, actress, and nightclub owner to a high-powered exec at Stark Industries. She's done it all. Makes sense that she'd want to settle down, is what?
She wants to settle down in a career. I think that's what they're
career.
I think it's kind of a double entendre because Spencer's really been hammering it down with the One More Day references up and like he's still doing it. But I've mentioned in my written reviews that all we've got until One More Day is totally like the picture is complete is Smark's dumb smug face, and we just now got it. It's out of the way, so if he wants to do it, he has my blessing.
Your blessing of what? I missed it. What?
To get rid of One More Day because all the pieces have been put in
I
place.
see. Awesome. Hey, Neil, can you move your mic just a little closer to your mouth?
What she says.
How's that?
There you go. All right, cool. Other pros. JR, what'd you like about this issue?
Well, the Hall of MJs. I like the Hall of MJs. And I think the freckled one that's kind of a riff on is that Scott Campbell's? Wasn't he doing like a series that has never appeared, and that's kind of that was the MJ look. So I
freckles. Has she always had freckles? I mean, redheads tend to have freckles.
Not quite that pronounced in the art. You know,
I think Olazaba like wanted to emphasize them. I don't know why this issue in particular he emphasized them, but he did.
I don't mind it.
I think it was a Campbell thing that people have kind of ran with.
Yeah,
because it kind of makes her look a little bit less like a Jean Grey, for example.
Or Black Widow.
It's not something you're going to see like when she's like doing like her fashion model stuff because her face is all did up and whatnot. But like like hanging out just day to day every just bumming around in an ice cream cone with fruity pebbles all over it. That's that's Freckle MJ. And I like that.
Right. I wonder if there will be like visual consistency. And if Otley will continue that trend of Freckles MJ when he's back on the title in issue 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
welcome, Mike.
Hey, so I thought you got we're starting at I thought we were starting at 9 Central.
No, that's
guys.
Spider Jeopardy. Review is at 8.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
All right.
Other pros. JR, you got any more that you want to talk about?
Not really.
Okay, Mark, we haven't heard from you. What was some pros of that issue?
I love that panel. Punisher just looking at all of the cases and going, somebody's going to pay.
Someone's getting a franking.
Oh, that was good. That was awesome. I agree with that. Yeah,
that's funny. Other pros. Peter, what's your pro?
That both Peter and MJ were barking and snarking back at Stark or Stank, I should say.
Yeah, that was cool.
I loved that, and the Peter and MJ moments were, I can't go off. I can read that over and over again. So, I love that relationship.
And I will say this, and it may be a con for some other people, but if anybody's going to help Peter like from a free fall, at least it was Black Cat and not like Tony Stark or Ms. Marvel or. It was actually somebody that makes sense in his world. I didn't. Right. This was a way to integrate the larger Marvel universe into this story without, like subtracting from Peter's world.
It kept it in his universe.
It
didn't bring the. However, it did. This issue does have the other heroes. They just aren't as prominent as they usually are. They usually would take up multiple pages. In the Spencer run, there may be a panel of the Punisher, a panel of Doc Strange, stuff like that.
I'll talk about that in
Spencer doesn't forget who the star of the book is.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's a great line. Yeah.
The Marvel heroes are a part of the story, but not really a part of the story. So that's what I like.
This is not Marvel. This is not Marvel team up. Is basically.
Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah. Mike, what's a pro out of you for this book?
Oh gosh, where should I start with the pros?
What's your grade?
Okay. My grade for this issue was about we're talking about this issue was like was a B+. Okay. I mean, if we're talking about issue 8.
I think that makes it across the board. I think everyone gave it a B something.
Yep.
Yeah. But I just
yeah.
Yeah. But
No,
I
JR
just
gave it a C.
Okay, sorry. I just
Jared,
love the
what was your grade?
See,
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Okay.
My bad.
Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
I just love the whole concept of having these about. I mean, because mainly when I saw that it was the Thieves Guild. Now basically because I'm like, oh, because I knew about the Thieves Guild with the X-Men thing, so I was like, oh, okay, so we're just. I just love the whole idea that these guys, you had a bunch of like basically magic bandits, basically just stealing stuff. And like, oh, it's just gone. It's just gone. Like the fact that it's so kind of an absurd premise, but it was so. But it kind of like at the same time was fun just seeing like all this stuff like, oh, it's like all this stuff is just basically just poof, it's being basically taken away. I just loved the kind of the silliness aspect of it, but it was like, but at the same time it's compelling because Spencer, if especially going back, if you could think about, Superior Foes and stuff, he kind of always liked to do, he somehow always managed to find that sweet spot where he's like takes something that's you seemingly seems like really ridiculous, kind of silly, but at the same time it somehow works. If that makes sense. And I also like the interaction there between Peter and MJ, of course. I mean, they just, the idea that whole thing. Oh, and the whole idea, what was really interesting about that whole conversation that they had was the idea that, and this is something I never really picked up on before, is how Mary Jane, like we were always being told about how Peter Parker is always like, oh, desperate, trying to, for money. He has all the money problems, right? But he's always kind of had a steady job with this for years was a photographer. But Mary Jane, even though she always has these high-end careers and stuff, she keeps going from career to career. Like you got the model and the actress, then you got the nightclub thing, then you got this thing. I mean, now in terms of that's all kind of like basically the writer trying to figure out what we're going to do with his character stuff. But I like how Spencer took that aspect of her and just kind of made it as kind of a character boat. Like she's basically saying like, I want something that, something a little bit more, stable and everything.
That's a good question to the panel. If she's not going to be an actress, if she's not going to own a nightclub, what would be a good career for her? I guess the obvious one in this day and age is a reporter. After the what would be a good career? Open it up to the panel. George is shaking his head. Not a reporter. Not.
I think you ought to go the Spider Girl route and get her into fashion.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're gonna make her a reporter, do a as a fashion reporter, because that's her expertise. She really doesn't need to be doing crime because, quite frankly, she doesn't have that expertise. With at least with fashion reporting. And working like at a magazine.
I think George is talking about having a boutique and
like a boutique thing. Yeah,
no, I love that idea. Don't misunderstand.
Why does everybody have to default to a goddamn reporter in a comic book?
Because the Lois Lane thing, I guess.
I have an idea.
Okay, go ahead.
Tony mentioned in like the holo call that like Peter was with MJ, and Peter says, "Well, she's my business manager." That would actually be a really cool concept for MJ to be Peter's PR. Like
she tries to spin by Jameson because there's going to be like a Jameson.
Oh, there you go. She could be Jameson. She could be Jameson's intern.
Chat says, "Give MJ cosmic powers and make her join the Avengers." Your boy is out of control.
Grant.
I think that's a great idea, Grant. Maybe even give her the Carnage symbiote too.
Oh, you guys are on my.
Hey,
you guys are on my list.
If we're gonna give MJ cosmic powers, let's also bring back the Golden Oldie.
No.
All right, let's get on the cons so we get picked.
Hey, I've been lobbying that for years.
Take me through the cons, George.
All right. So I'm sitting there reading and I'm enjoying it. We got new villains. They're done well. I'm digging the vibe. Mm-hmm. Having a good time. Peter and Mary Jane are hanging out at some kind of outdoor festival with hippies. It's like Burning Man, but with food.
Yeah.
And it gets interrupted by Tony Stark. I'm so goddamn sick of seeing Iron Man show up in my Spider-Man comics. Yep. It's like every time you get Tony Stark in an ASM comic now, it's like that guy at the party that shows up and puts his dick in the mashed potatoes so that nobody.
That's horrifying.
George, Thanksgiving's just around the corner.
I'm effing done with it. I'm so Nick Spencer. If you're listening, if you're watching, if you're going to review this later, in the privacy of your own home or with friends, I don't know how you maybe listen. I think on a side note, I think that there's so many things that we always say, oh my God, Nick Spencer has to listen to the podcast because this. Anyway, but I implore you, get Tony Stark out of my Spider-Man comics. It's all. This is. You have the power. Get him the hell out of there. I'm done. I'm done with Tony Stark being in every damn part of Spider-Man movies, comics. When does it end? When does it end? Stop. Stop the madness.
What's wrong with Neil? He's bundled up in a hoodie.
This is my comforter. I'm not good at confrontation, so whenever George gets angry, I hide.
Okay, so
that's your security blanket, basically.
I think you like Tony Stark in the book.
So I'm just
anything else you didn't like
immediately. That's like you're having your good time. You're hanging out with your friends, and that's what Peter and Mary Jane are to me. They're friends that I recognize for the first time in 10 years. With this new run, and then somebody just hit you in the face with a frying pan.
Okay,
and so that was bad. And then, can we? And I blame the movies for this. Can we please get away from wisecracking Thor? Remember back in the day when Thor, when if Thor was funny, it was on accident. Remember? Yeah. I mean, like I think back to like the Simonson character, and like all those stories. Like when I can remember, like Thor at his peak for me, and he wasn't a face palming movie guy.
Yeah.
Can we please, just as a side note, Marvel, can we please get a serious Thor back? What has a brother got to do to get a serious Thor back?
Maybe when he gets his hammer back, he'll become serious.
And how does that even? I get these people stealing all this stuff. How? Number one.
No. Okay, that's
whoa. I'm not done talking.
Okay.
So, So yeah, that made me facepalm. I'm like, oh, they got Thor's hammer. Okay. And then Doctor Strange is like, I have Agamotto. I left it on my other cloak, and I'm like, no, that's not how that works at all. But it's Marvel, and no one there understands Doctor Strange anymore. Anyway, there are my cons.
Okay.
I have a. Okay, go ahead, Neil.
It's kind of a major con that these books, like I mentioned Avengers Mountain, and then we've got the new Stark Unlimited Tower, Cap fighting the nuke clones, and Thor fighting without a Mjolnir. The problem with I applaud Spencer for trying to be like the kind of gateway to the greater MU and saying, look, here's all these characters and what they're doing now. The problem is that unless you've read Jason Aaron's Avengers or Thor or Coates' Captain America or Slott's Iron Man, then none of these make any sense. They are not very new reader friendly.
That makes you encouraged to go pick up those books. When I was a kid in the 80s, Spider-Man was swinging through the city, and all of a sudden a blizzard happened, and they said, little text on the bottom says, go read Thor to figure out why you got a blizzard in New York City. I don't mind that kind of stuff. It does make it feel like a larger universe. And if you're going to have stuff stolen from other heroes, I don't mind that you incorporate what's going on in the other books. I don't mind that.
I think that it's kind of a double-edged sword because it's meant to encourage new readers to pick up the different books and see what's going on.
Right.
But at the same time, like I've gone to Mike and DM'd him twice, and I said these are very easy questions to answer. Like he mentioned the nuke clones and the Nova helmet. And these are very easy questions to answer if you've read all the books. But the problem is not everyone can read the other books. So there are some things that will just not make any sense.
Well, hang on. Everyone's capable of reading them. Will we? No.
Yeah, right.
I will say this. This is very Stan Lee-like. The difference is there's not editor boxes saying, hey, want to know more what's going on? Check out Captain America. Check out this. Like, this is a far more subtle way than what Stan Lee would have done, and it's not beating you over the head. At least with Spencer, he's using Marvel's current continuity to his advantage. unlike most other writers. And Slott wasn't bad at this, but because Slott was always on a different schedule, it never worked out really well. This works out pretty well. Also, take a shot every time George complains about Tony Stark.
You'll be drunk. Other cons, JR. What's your con? You gave it the lowest grade, JR. What took it down for you?
Well, first of all, the Thieves Guild and stealing superhero stuff just does not interest me as a plot device. It just doesn't. It's a bore. The first thing when I saw the Thieves Guild people, I was thinking, like George, I was thinking, wait a minute, is the Hand subcontracting themselves out? And what are they going to call themselves? Since other appendages have already been taken, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles took the foot, V for Vendetta, I think, took the finger and the ear, and so what other appendage are they going to call themselves? I share George's contempt for seeing Tony Stark, although I don't quite. I don't, not for exactly the same reasons, but again, why are Peter and Mary Jane talking to Tony Stark?
Because that was her last employer.
No. They ought to have him blocked with the auto text that says "F you." I mean,
Yeah.
You have blocked that says F you on your phone, JR.
Tony Stark, after what he did, he should be persona non grata. Have we all forgotten Civil War?
Yeah.
Have we all forgotten Civil War? And we're
there. Yep.
And we're talking. No. I mean, this absolutely infuriates me.
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't know. Is Marvel admitting or not? Well, they won't admit anything, but are they kind of acknowledging they went too far with Civil War? That they really, that they basically made these characters unlikable and intolerable. So they had to go resort to these idiotic devices like mind wipes and microbes eating part of Tony's brain so he doesn't remember what it was. It's just it's infuriating. It's infuriating to see Peter talk to him like nothing ever happened.
Mhm.
So anyway,
Other cons. Who hasn't talked yet? Mark, I haven't heard from you. What's a con out of you?
Nothing that hasn't already been said. That we were promised Craven, and I haven't gotten Craven. So.
Also, no Boomerang.
No.
I think they're slow playing the Craven thing. I think the Craven's the meta arc.
Yeah.
Peter, con out of you?
I'm gonna echo George and JR. It's Tony Stark, but that kind of leads to a pro that I was saying that if you saw Ramos's art and the facial expressions they were given to that person, it was like get lost. But
they clearly hate him at this point.
Yeah, they clearly dislike him. So that's a pro to me.
There needs to be like a intervention between the three parties and just and be done with it. And be done with it.
Read it.
I mean, that was MJ quitting. That was their three-way goodbye period. And now Stark's trying to break it. So screw Tony.
I think there needs to be like a leveling out of everything, address the things like JR is saying, and be done with it and move on. And then we don't reference it. He doesn't show up for a couple of years.
Speaking of moving on, any other final thoughts on that first issue?
You're welcome, Douglas.
Thank you. You gave me a segue.
I think it was fun. I think it was a fun issue. I think it's but yeah, going to the issue is like, I think definitely it's going back to George's and Neil's point is like, this is definitely there's a fine line between having cameos and having cameos involving things where you're not really familiar with what's going on with the rest of the continuity thing. I mean, it's just sometimes it gets a little bit, and also JR's point is spot on. It's like, why are you still putting up with Tony Stark? The only reason probably they are is everyone has to be nice to him is because Tony Stark's the face of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we got to be, we're pitching him now, and I think but it's can be a little bit too. It could be, and also what was kind of frustrating a little bit too is the idea that we don't really know why Mary Jane left Stark Industries still. It just kind of happened. Not that I
don't care. Don't need to know.
Don't care. Yeah, true.
The
I
reason
mean,
she loves Stark Industries is because Bendis went to DC.
yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Pretty much.
I don't think Mary Jane at Stark Industries was a good idea. I think he
No,
wanted.
Mary Jane left because Slott decided to write Iron Man.
And
Right.
and he
Yeah,
got
yeah.
his redhead in the form of Bethany. So can't have two of those. Gotta get one out of here. Oh wait, yeah, there we
Yep.
go.
Real quick, Joey in YouTube chat says, "What happened to SpideyKicksButt.com? I found it was gone the same day Stan Lee passed. Did you kill your website, JR?"
Oh.
Not deliberately. There's something going on. I've paid the bills, but something's going on. But I haven't been in a hurry to. I haven't been in a hurry to revive it.
Okay.
It's trust me. I think it's outlived its usefulness. To be honest.
I will host it over here if you want it. JR, you've got the next issue. Let's move on to issue 810.
Okay. All right. You mean issue number 9, right? Volume 5, number 9, or something like that. Anyway,
We're going legacy number.
Brad's counting legacy numberings.
well, yeah, I know. I was just being a smartass.
I know you are.
Okay, so anyway, so we start out, Spidey's narrative. We're recapping this boring ass plot that that superhero stuff is getting stolen, and then Spidey's falling through the sky, and the Black Cat saves him, and then we go through a whole thing of Spidey's history with the Black Cat. And then we find then he says, well, hey, wait a minute, why did you scratch me? That's not a very nice greeting. And Black Cat says, well, I scratched you for 2 reasons. One, I'm mad because I haven't had a milk bath in a very long time.
Get out, you're banished.
And I know that Brad Douglas just thinks I'm so hot in those damn milk baths. So anyway. And two, you have, you've dragged me into this uninteresting plot. So here I am, and I'm not very damn happy about it at all. So anyway, speaking of plot development, plots that nobody's interested in, we find out who the mystery person talking to MJ was, and it's guess what? Because no one demanded it. It's Carly Cooper. Carly Cooper has returned. And she and MJ are having some fake Starbucks, and
So Starbucks.
And Carly is showing MJ that she really knows where it's at. Okay, so they have some typical talk, and then Carly brings up this version of superhero Al-Anon, where people can go and vent about their relationship with superheroes and things of that nature. So then we go back to another flashback with the Black Cat and her old man. And the Black Cat's father was a master thief, so he's paying his tribute to the Thieves Guild, the Black Cat then starts to tell Spider. They get to the fountain, and then the Black Cat talks to Spider-Man about the history of the Thieves Guild, which folks, I saw Goodfellas. Okay, I saw Goodfellas, and I do not recall seeing Paulie or Jimmy pay tribute to the effing Thieves Guild. Okay, I mean, I know exactly. Whatever.
Well, they paid tribute. Just they kicked that upstairs in their own organization.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Thieves Guild. It was because they were I think they were They weren't even operating in their own territory, so they had to have permission of the other bosses. But I saw Goodfellas. Okay, so let's not tread that ground. All right, that's pretty sacred ground. Anyway. Check my notes here because since I got old, I have to take notes now. So anyway, MJ goes to church, and first she's greeted by these flying things or whatever, these nonsensical little drones.
And then 5.0 it says. Yep.
Yep.
And then Jarvis shows up. Okay, and then Jarvis knows who she is. Now I'm assuming that I guess if she worked for Tony, Jarvis would know who she was. But this gets back to the whole, again, Civil War thing and Spider-Man being in Avengers Tower. Just how well does Jarvis know Mary Jane? Does Jarvis know why Mary Jane is there? I don't know. So anyway, so basically, so he introduces her to the group, which because of all kind of wacky comic book science, we can't see who these people are. But I'm assuming it's Foggy Wong, something to do with Ant-Man, one of Ant-Man's previous screw jobs. Oh hell, who are the other? Junkie.
I think one of them is Gonky, and then the other one is Pepper Potts. I thought.
Yeah, it's
Pepper Potts and also Willie Lumpkin. The
Willie Lumpkin, Pepper Potts, Gonky,
Foggy Nelson.
Foggy,
It's
Foggy Nelson.
It's also Peggy Ray, Ant-Man's ex-wife.
Peggy Ray. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's the 6.
Okay. So, and MJ says, you know what? I am really not into any of this kumbaya or sharing or, sharing my feelings or any other that bull crap. And I certainly hope this doesn't become a recurring plot device. But somehow, given the prominence, I guess, that in which I've been dumped in it, I guess it will be. So anyway, then we go back. And Spidey and Spidey's and he's thinking about more of his what a good partner Felicia is or whatever. Pretty well underplaying the fact that she was a would-be murderess and thief and gangster and all kinds of other things. He seems to have gotten selective memory about that part of her life. But then, Felicia shows her stripes or her spots or whatever, and she says, "Oh, I'm not, we're not going to return it all to the heroes. I'm going to take half of it and sell it, because of the, I'm going to sell it on eBay and all that crap." So she and Spidey then have a fight, and they start arguing, and then all of a sudden, in typical supervillain moment, the supervillains show up. They do the supervillain cackle, ha 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 ha, to be continued, and there we go, and I give that a C-.
C-. Around the horn, George, you had the last one. What do you give this one?
I gave this one another B-.
B-. Peter.
A-, B+.
Okay.
In that area.
Mark.
B.
B. Mike.
Lowest grade I've given Spencer.
Yeah.
B+ out of me.
B+. Neil.
Higher B+ than my last B+, so B++, I guess.
And Zach.
I'm going to give this an A-.
Oh, what's this?
A-. Okay, I'll give it a B. I'm agreeing with you. I think this issue is almost as good. Maybe a smidge better than last issue, but still a B. JR, why so low? Well, no, never mind. That'll be a con. We'll start with the pros out of JR. What worked?
I don't see anything on here.
You got to name something. It's not an F or a D out of you. What? Well,
no, I only give an F to those that personally offend me, and there are there's only been a handful of those. D is when I'm pretty insulted and disgusted by the plot. C is a meh. I mean, it's a meh. One pro I will give it though is that
that's what I want.
Is that. The general run is I really haven't been thrilled by this run at all, but it's not. I tell you, it's far and away better than what Slott was doing. I guess because things seem a little bit more light. They don't always seem so dark or you're not. I don't know. You're not trying to wring as much action and emotion out of everything. I don't know. Just something. I will admit something does feel better, but it's just I've just not been excited about the stories thus far.
Man, I can't. JR, you're the one that you haven't drunk the Kool-Aid yet, I guess.
Well, he's not a card.
He's not on the ledge anymore.
He's too old to drink anymore.
Yeah, he's not on the Slott ledge. He isn't going to jump just yet.
No, I drink. The only things I drink now are to enable the rest of my body functions to work.
Zach gave it the highest grade, I think, with an A, right?
I gave it an A-. Here's the thing.
Zach should give the most pros. Let's hear out of Zach.
I will tell you this right now. I know JR liked to make the crack about the Al-Anon thing, but I completely and fundamentally disagree. I think this issue did a very good job of trying to give things for MJ to do within the Spider-Man universe that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think having a friend that, and I get who it is, and I know that George is probably going to go on a rant later, but I will say this. If Carly's going to be back in this book, being a function of being somebody she can bounce things off of with Peter. Let me.
No,
Oh, that's perfect.
you can't hear it.
That's
No.
great.
Yeah, you're totally muted. Yeah. Okay. Well,
I
let's,
mean, I'm sure Peter wants some of MJ's things to be bouncing off him, but that's another.
Wow.
JR, you are naughty.
Why are you so raunchy today?
Zach, nothing out of you yet. We're gonna move on to Neil. What's some pros? I mean,
I have two major ones. One,
How about now?
there you are.
Yeah.
You're back.
There you go. You're back.
Finish your thoughts, Zach, and we'll go to
Okay.
Neil.
All right, sorry.
You're much better, by the way, right now.
Good. I'm glad. I will say this: having, yes, she does. She need to go to Peter with everything. Yes, do I agree with that? But having somebody that MJ can relate to, having been through it, that she can just talk, that she can just bounce off with Peter, or the problems that she just can't always talk to. Sometimes you need a girlfriend. If you're a female, just like you as a dude, you need your guy friends. Peter had guy friends. He's got Johnny.
Do you think Carly should be that girlfriend?
If you're going to bring her back long term, I don't. Here's the thing about Carly. She's such a blank slate overall.
No, she's got too much garbage on her.
I agree with that. I think that with a competent writer, which she has not had in her entire existence, i.e. Spencer, I think Spencer can take this character to the next level and actually make her a likable character, considering because the best thing for her was getting out of the book as a character. Mm-hmm. Now it's been some time. I know we like to harp on it, but I think you can do some stuff with Carly Cooper. I look at somebody like what Kevin did.
The best thing to do to Carly Cooper is to drop her off a bridge and
yes.
I would rather have a brand new creation by Spencer of Mary Jane's new best friend. I would rather have that instead of bringing a girl with baggage in. You don't take girls with baggage. You can't get on the plane.
Yes.
I disagree. I think you can do something with Carly.
I don't think she's repairable, dude. I really don't.
Here's what I mean.
I think that we didn't think that Spider-Man was repairable. Period.
No, I did.
Going into the Spencer run, and look what he's been able to do. He's made a fantastic omelet of a run so far. JR, don't speak up.
I gotta give George the rebuttal on this. Is Carly Cooper a fixable character under a writer?
Carly Cooper is a crap character.
Yeah.
Carly Cooper is 100% a crap character that needs to be forgotten and relegated to the dustbin of comic book history.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the dustbin.
I don't think there's bad writing.
I don't even know where the hell this is coming from, and I'll always remember this day as the day that I finally was able to for sure stop taking you seriously, Zach.
Wait, I just don't think that there's bad characters. I think there's bad writers.
Oh, there's lots of bad. Oh my god!
Ooh, I know.
Hey, hold up! Everybody's yelling at each other. Go ahead.
I think the more you, I think a good writer can turn a bad character good, far better, and it takes some talent. But I think that any good, competent writer can turn a bad character into a good one.
So, Zach, what is your example of a good writer taking a bad character and improving them? There's got to be somebody in the Clone Saga.
Well,
Kane.
I think Kane
was good to start with.
I think Kane was interesting, but I think Kane kind of got muddied in the middle. And shut up! I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from you.
Okay, Zach. I apologize.
Give me
your example.
People are gonna kill me.
I'll let George rebut, and I'll come back with that. With
an answer. What's an example of a character that was introduced horribly but fixed? Does anybody have an answer for that?
I got one, and everyone's gonna kill me for this, but I think Silk has probably out of all slots.
Agree on that. I would agree on that. Silk.
Yeah.
I can see George like rolling his eyes and like pinching his nose.
Silk is a good example. I do like Silk now, as opposed to when she was first introduced.
I can.
I think
Yeah.
JR and George are both shaking their head at my answer on that.
They're gonna
By the way-
kill me.
What was the purpose of Silk? What the hell was the purpose of Silk?
Thank
We
you,
already
JR.
To
Yeah,
give
thank
Peter
you.
something,
The
to give
problem
Peter
with
something to
what
smash.
One at a
That was the
time, one at a
entire
time.
point of Silk.
How many female Spider-Mans had we had already? I mean, we'd had Spider-Woman, we'd had Arachna Girl, you know, I mean, anyway.
I think to,
Ugh.
I think
George.
Arachna Girl was made far better in the MCU or in the NC2 universe than she was in the 616. I think that's taking a bad character and writing it well.
I will. George and Jr. made a good question about what purpose Silk had. What happened was that they took her away from Slott and they gave her a purpose. So that was the big defining moment that made. I agree with Zach that there are no bad characters. There are only bad writers.
Oh,
I don't know about that. There are bad bad characters.
Can I go back to Carly for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Carly Cooper. I mean, if she was just a character that was thought up to be a girlfriend of Peter and had history to it, fine. Carly Cooper is an inspiration to Joe Quesada's daughter. That is her purpose. Think about that for a second. Come on.
Beyond that, though, I mean,
I think it's just an ego thing, and she just doesn't need to be there.
Zach,
And,
you think Alpha is repairable? It wants to know on YouTube chat.
To be fair,
Tevia wants to know if Alpha is a character that could be saved.
I can actually rebut Zach's and Neil's point about
Let me
there are
ask
no
Zach
bad
about Alpha,
characters
and then you can.
Okay.
Zach, Alpha, can you fix Alpha?
Alpha is far, far worse than Carly Cooper.
Oh, I thought there weren't any bad characters, Zach.
Here's the deal. I think if you write
Flash.
I think if you write a good redemption story with Alpha, I think you can start turning that corner on that character.
Okay, I will back up Zach. You will never hear me say this ever again, but I will back up Zach on this one.
You mean to tell me if we had the Watchmen of Alpha novels, it would be better?
Again, you will never hear me say this again, but who was the guy who wrote Alpha's miniseries? Like just during the Superior era?
I don't know.
He made Alpha likable.
I don't remember that.
Basically acknowledging that he was a jackass.
Yeah. They gave him flaws.
I mean, with Carly, we lost Mark.
He gave up on us.
Because all those bad
We're having a
characters.
civil war right now.
But I will say this: like, at the end of the day, if you give like what happened with Silk, if you give Carly a purpose and actually try to get her to do something other than being Peter Parker's perfect girlfriend, we already know who that was, and that's Mary Jane.
Zach, would you rather have Carly Cooper in the book or a brand new Nick Spencer created girlfriend for Mary Jane?
I don't mind Spencer is actually trying to mine the Spider-Man mythos, and as much as we hate to say it, Carly Cooper's part of that mythos.
No,
again,
George wants to get AIDS and die.
Again, I mean, you could have probably done this with Deb Whitman. You could have done it with Sissy Ironwood. You could have done it with all these other characters. I agree with that. But if you're going to bring Carly Cooper's the most recent out of this bunch. If you're going to bring her back, do something with her.
Kill her. Bullet in her head.
I can.
Mark, I haven't heard out of Mark. Is Carly Cooper fixable?
Yes.
Why? Explain.
Oh, the plot thickens.
Well, okay. Here's my scenario. I already put this on YouTube chat, but I'll explain it to you guys. Here we have Carly Cooper. She's sitting there minding her own business after taking Mary Jane down the bad path to that little meeting. And then Cinedemon pops up. And he rips her to pieces of Carly all over the place with little centipedes everywhere. Fixed.
I'd buy that.
So you say a good Carly Cooper story is Demon comes up and rips her apart. I think George will pay for that. I think he'll like that.
Would George be opposed to turning her into a villain?
No, listen. Let George speak finally. Let George get a word in here on this.
Go ahead, George.
All right. A good writer coming in and taking a character and writing that character better does not mean that the character is not still a crap character. Absolutely. That's not what that means. Not at all.
Mhm.
Carly Cooper. The only reason what I'm praying is that Spencer brought her back to kill her. Do I think we're that lucky? No, I don't think we're that lucky. But I mean, like in a perfect world, yeah. I mean, like he brought her back to kill her. Here's the thing, because we're talking about mythos and getting Mary Jane a girlfriend character. Where's Liz?
Yeah.
Where's
Oh,
Liz? Where's Glory? We have so many other good quality characters that we could be using here instead of this one more day disaster.
Mhm.
That is Carly Cooper.
Agree with that a little slightly.
Go ahead, Mark.
I disagree with that slightly. He brings Carly Cooper for a specific reason, and that is to show the difference between a bad character relationship and a great one. So she's there saying, "Oh no, Peter's never there for you." But MJ able to counter that and show the difference, which makes MJ a stronger character. Now we don't need Carly anymore. Exit stage left. She's done her job.
I honestly
that was
suspect
actually
we
a
won't
good
see
moment.
Carly Cooper again. I honestly think we won't.
There was a moment, and I forget when when Carly and Mary Jane are having coffee, and coffee or Carly is like, I'm actually happy for you. You're a great couple. I'm like, based on what? You've never seen them. You have no frame of reference for them as a couple.
Good point.
I saw that too.
They were already done by the time
you
your goofy ass showed up. So you don't have any frame of reference for how great a couple they are.
That's a
You
good
haven't
point.
seen them together. Just go away. Can we stop putting these horrible characters into Spider-Man comics? I don't want to see Tony Stark anymore. I don't want to see Carly Cooper anymore. Please.
What happened to our face? Why is it better?
I
Goblin.
I have like a small list. I got like 3.
Go ahead.
I still got a bunch of other pros, but we kind of got dumped.
You know what's funny is I thought we were at cons at this point.
No.
That was pros. Neil, hit me with some pros.
Okay, so the first is Michelle Bandini as an alternating artist. I think that what Spencer's done is he keeps Ramos as the Peter artist, and then he puts Steve Leiber on the Superior Foes art, and then he's putting Michelle Bandini on the MJ art. That's a really good way to show alternating perspectives.
I like
and also in deadlines.
I like
that.
Yeah.
To me, I think that that shows that Spencer knows the craft of writing comics well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is a craft. And too often that we would see, especially during Slot's run, is that we would just get random artists inserted here because we're running on a deadline. At least making it to where it's segmented with the scene transitions. I prefer having one artist on a book, but if you're going to do it this way, where there is very specific.
Ow!
Oh lordy!
Ooh. Like that, yeah.
But continuing, I think that Zach made a good point that Carly works as a way to show just how good of a relationship MJ and Peter have. Because when MJ,
I don't need Carly Cooper to show up to.
But George, when Carly says, "Who's gonna be there for you, MJ?" and MJ goes, "He is." That shows just how committed they are to each other. That was the wham line of the issue.
Yep.
Didn't need a Carly Cooper cameo to hammer that point home. I already knew it.
And then my third pro, and this kind of applies to the book as a whole and not just this singular issue. This book is actively engaging the reader base and causing us to raise questions because let's think about this. When Slot's run was happening, when Slot's
destroying his room as we speak.
What a catastrophe!
But when
what a catastrophe!
But
packing up his whole desk. I can't even.
But when Slots,
go ahead, Neil.
But let's think about it like this: when Slot's run was happening, people would theorize. I think Mike was the only one of us who would actively theorize. There were very few theories, and most of them revolved around how is Slot going to screw it up? And now we're actually like raising genuine questions. Like we're actually interested in seeing where the story goes. Like the lookups, they're an interesting concept. I want to see them that developed. I want to see where that goes.
That's one thing I want to ask the panel. Do you like the idea of Mary Jane being part of that support group or not? Do you think she should?
I would like to say that.
I love it.
I think she's going to run it.
It's interesting. I mean, the fact that she walks in and Jarvis is immediately there, like, it just lends it all kinds of credibility.
Well, that's the thing, though.
Because of anybody that should understand the nature of the stresses that occurs, and even was shown in the book, I mean, it should be Jarvis.
Jarvis is the best Avenger. Prove me wrong.
I like Peter's concept. She's going to run that. That's her new job.
They were talking about finding a steady career for her and something that's perfect. Besides Jarvis, who better than MJ? I mean, she's been with Peter in Spider-Man and knows that world, and she's gone to Iron Man for reasons, but she could be a part of that group, and then she goes, I could really help with this, and that would be an interesting concept because Deep Cut, she took philosophy in college.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that was something. She was going to be a psychiatrist in the 90s.
I like that.
Maybe she could be a member of that group, go to college, get her psychology degree. And we could have a spin-off book called MJ and the Lookouts.
I will tell you this right now. Again, this is what I liked about the issue. Not just expanding Peter's world, but expanding Mary Jane's world is not a bad thing.
I agree.
And giving more reasons for us to be more invested in that character. That's something that I think overall is a great thing.
That's
I mean, like that. I was gonna say about the lookups too. I mean, I like that whole concept of the idea, like having we've seen superhero support groups before in comics, but to have like a superhero confidant support group, I think that kind of and you can tell that this is going to be like an ongoing subplot for Mary Jane moving forward here. Of course, at the same time, and this is I think a part of which is interesting about this issue was like it's dealing a lot with the issue of trust. The way this whole thing is set up, it seems like all above board because Jarvis is running everything like this, but there's something in the back of my mind you're thinking at the same time something is gonna drop with this. The way this whole thing is set up, something about those drones, whether it's the gas thing, this is perfect prime material for somehow getting some villain getting in this thing and getting info on all the heroes and everything. I'm thinking something's bad with this thing like that. And so you can kind of feel MJ's frustration, kind of hesitation because she's been, she's kind of streetwise. So she's like, okay, yeah, this is kind of appealing to me, but there's something, I don't know, even though it looks all up and up, but again, it's an engaging subplot here. It's going to keep building on. I find it more engaging than the Black Cat one, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this one actually goes. It's actually kind of like, JR,
do you like MJ with the Lookouts? Do you like that idea?
Or Lookups?
The Lookups, I'm sorry.
No effing way.
You don't? Why? Explain.
I think it's a stupid idea. I just think it's a stupid idea.
Really.
Let's all get around and talk about our problems and our feelings. No.
Well, there are support groups. I mean,
I'm sorry.
I mean, for PTSD, for alcoholics, it makes sense in this universe that there is a support group for superheroes and their loved ones.
It's nothing I'm even remotely interested in.
So you don't think this should be a good career for Mary Jane?
I'd rather see Mary Jane become a criminal psychologist, like she and contribute to the psychology, like she was doing with J.M. DeMatteis back before the reboot, and pursue something along those lines. Become kind of a profiler and things of that nature. But
I don't want to say that makes her kind of a discount Dr. Kafka, but I think the idea of MJ leading a support group, especially since she has always been at the forefront of Peter's double life, makes for a very fascinating concept. And I think going back to my statement of we're engaging reader base, this is good. Like I don't remember the last time in the last 10 years where we have been this actively engaged. Like we are actually wanting to know what happens.
Yeah, we are.
During the slot run, I'm going to take off this blanket because the AC just came back on. But I don't remember I've never seen in the last ever since One More Day, I've never seen like us as a group actively going, I want to know what's going forward. I want to know what's going to happen going forward in this. I've always been thinking is, oh God, what's Slot gonna do? He's gonna screw it up again, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that
we kind of hit all the pros. I want to, in the interest of time, I want. Go ahead.
I had one more pro. I liked the brief scene with Black Cat and her dad.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. Yeah.
That was a good scene. I liked that.
That was good world building.
Just because Ashley's not here, I'll mention that it was a cool.
You mean review? I want you to review with the cons.
I didn't hear you, Brad. What?
Since this is your review, I want you to lead off with the cons. What did you take off for?
Oh God, no! Carly Cooper being there. Period.
Carly Cooper. We talked about. What else?
Carly Cooper.
Carly Cooper, and at the end, I'm like, how come? Well,
take a shot.
I don't want to say this prematurely because we may find out like next issue why this didn't happen. But why isn't Spider-Man Spider Sense going off in that last scene?
I was wondering about that too.
I think they in the lookups. Mike mentioned this, but like the lookups are kind of they have like a degree of shadiness behind them, and they mentioned they have Doctor Strange's gases and psychic shit.
Yeah,
I think that's going to come into play. That they're borrowing that the stuff that they're stealing has magical properties and allows them to like disable Spider-Man's spider sense.
Mm. Well, that could be unless it says something to that effect, because we wondered how the web shears get stolen off of him without his spider sense going off. Like if Spencer does go do something like that, we've got ways of overriding people's psychic abilities so that we can steal stuff better. Okay, fine.
Slot
They're ninjas.
Slot.
Oh, I know. They're magic ninjas.
I agree. They're ninjas.
Slot also established the idea of spider sense jammers and stuff like that. It wouldn't be out of left field for them to have gotten a hold of some of Alchemax's spider sense jammers so that they could sneak up on him.
Right.
It would be a good way to.
Yeah.
Well, I just want the damn thing explained later. If the
Thieves Guild stole a spider sense.
I was just gonna
my little niggle.
Stole the spider sense. That's funny.
My little niggle. Oh, go ahead, Brad.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say my little niggle. Aside from my rebuttal against there are no bad characters, I can rebut that in 3 words: Jar Jar Binks. But
fix that one.
What?
You can't fix Jar Jar.
No, exactly. But I think in terms of a con thing, I'm not sure in terms of again, while I do like the art differences and everything, I'm just the Ramos is me. I don't know. It just, I know some people like it and everything.
I will say, oh, I'm sorry, Peter.
I'm sorry. I want Ryan Otley back. I mean, Ramos is a very good character and a very good artist, but he had his time with Slot, and I think that was his high rise. Whereas, excuse you, Zach.
Sorry, I thought I was muted still.
You want to know? Belt?
I think. I think
microphone to belch in it.
Yeah.
I just think that Ryan Otley has showed some really promise, and I want to see more of that.
Yeah. Ramos is good with in terms of showing movement and everything, but I think sometimes he can be over stylized a little bit.
Yeah.
Again,
me. Yeah,
that's a difference between Deadline Ramos and Ramos that actually has time to do stuff.
One thing Zach, I want to ask Zach about this because we recorded a Black Cat DLC Patreon podcast a couple days ago, and we talked about Black Cat's character, and you said that she's grown a lot over the years, and she isn't the default where she will double cross and she will stab you in the back. This is very much the stab you in the back Black Cat. Talk about that.
I despise this.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
I
don't
go
think
into
this is
far
your
more
character?
detail. I go into far more detail on that episode. So go to the patreon.com/crawlspace and do a $5 donation. You get to
Stop shilling.
Hey, it's for me. He can chill.
I'm doing it for Douglas, not for me.
But
So
you talk how this is a regression of the character.
yes, because think about the Roberto Aguirre Sacasa issue that was in Sensational right before the hard reboot of One More Day that they tried to make a soft reboot. Yeah, thanks for the cat noise. Very, very
You
apt.
burp. You don't get to make fun of other people's noises.
That's what
I
I'm here for, Zach.
I wasn't making fun of it. I was just acknowledging it. So at the end of the day, I just despise this. This is the default characterization of Felicia. Felicia has nuance. Felicia knows that this is Peter Parker. Did we even acknowledge that in this issue? Like even talk about that? Apparently, she realized that Peter Parker is Spider-Man again. Thank God, because quite frankly, that should be what that character. The character should know who Peter Parker is or knows who Spider-Man is.
She
doesn't. And the fact
she doesn't know who Peter Parker is.
Okay, so if she does, this makes it worse. So it makes it even more of a con.
In Spencer's defense, the Black Cat is on the path of redemption. Like, she was better than when she was under Slott. She's willing to give half of the items back, so she's on the way back.
And
this is still bullshit.
And
I'm sorry,
but Peter even goes out of his way to say, "I thought she would change." Like, he thinks that he's going to go, that she's like in the span of nothing, she's going to go all the way back from crime boss to good guy again, and I don't think that's how character development works.
Yeah,
like,
but
she has to take small steps back to that path of good.
I would agree.
I get that it's a small step, but I just hate that this is her there's two defaults to this character now: sex pot, and I'm going to betray Peter because reasons. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
No,
there is far more nuance to this.
The crazy ex-girlfriend. She's much better as the crazy ex-girlfriend.
No, I think she's far better as someone that supports Peter and doesn't treat Peter like crap. No, you're wrong. You're wrong, sir.
I backed you up. I backed you up, Joyner.
Because here's at the end of the day, this is somebody that knows Peter very, very well.
She doesn't know Peter at all.
You got MJ. You don't need that character.
Peter at all. That's true.
But by not knowing Peter, that takes that away, and I just hate that there is not that level of understanding, and that why does Spider-Man try so hard with her?
Yeah,
it's because he knows Felicia inside and out, and the fact that it's one-sided makes it and this is the default, does not work to me.
JR, what type of Felicia do you like?
Oh God.
You just opened up. Oh my God.
Well, not one with
impact, like you said.
not one with fruity pebbles on her that I could nibble. Not one in a milk bath that I could lick off of.
Man.
What is with you? Did you take extra Viagra and get Rex or Randy?
Extra Viagra. Viagra on top of the Viagra he already
He tried to flush it down the toilet. He couldn't get the lid down. Okay, go ahead.
We're talking about how everybody needs a girlfriend, and I was thinking, after after 30 years of marriage, I need a girlfriend too.
What type of Black Cat do you like? There you go.
The version that was in Mark Millar's Marvel Knights Spider-Man 1 through 12. That was probably my favorite version. Not necessarily not a good girl, but one who still loved and respected Peter. Not loved him as that was over, but
the Yoda speaketh.
She had a bad side. I mean, she had a bad side, and and she was willing to do dirty things. But she wasn't that idiotic crime boss thing.
Oh yeah,
I will back up.
They are.
All right.
There is far more nuance in that 12 issues of the Mark Millar run than there has been with this character for the last 10 freaking years.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up due to time. Let's go around the horn for final thoughts. Zach, final thoughts.
Black Cat as a jerk is just not fun.
Neil, final thoughts.
Still a solid run, but it's not like it hasn't hit that same high that the Boomerang issues did.
Mike, final thoughts.
These are two fun, silly, but issues that somehow Spencer makes it work, and looking forward to seeing more support group from Lookup stuff. Actually, so
Mark, final thoughts. Have I lost Mark? Okay. Peter. Whoa.
Well, I guess Mark died.
Mark has frozen. Okay, Peter, final thoughts.
Carly Cooper needs to go, and now. And despite what Dark Mark says, I am not to blame that there's no letter section on these comic books anymore.
No, it's totally your fault. We need a scapegoat, and you're it.
No.
One more time. one more time to Mark. Do I have Mark back? I don't.
Yes. You hear me?
Yes, there you are.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, Mark.
They veto. So Squirrel Girl gonna come in and end the whole storyline anyway.
Okay, I couldn't understand that really well. Jr.
Mark
final
said
thoughts.
he sent me on a message. Peter is right. He is not to blame for the letters placed, and Deborah Whitman is not the person for Peter. It's actually Mary Jane.
That's funny. I don't think he wrote that. Jr. Final thoughts.
Peter, you're just making shit up now.
Wow, Peter, you found that
Finally!
one. That's funny.
Actually, anyway, but I've not been enamored by these stories at all. I frankly found them rather dull and boring. But it seems like there's something there. It's like he hasn't caught that lightning in a bottle yet. That'll make the run take off, and I hope he finds it. Spencer.
George, you started the review of this book. You get the last word.
Well, Zach, cheer up, because if things keep going the way they're going, then next month Spencer will bring in Ben Riley.
If he doesn't get killed off in Spider-Geddon,
to
which is
trigger-
my prediction.
We can only
to
hope
trigger-
we can all.
If he does bring him back, I will blame you for everything then,
To-
George, because you're the one who even brought the idea up, and then you will be to blame.
He'll do it.
stop.
He'll.
Just stop.
I give up.
George, George, final thoughts. George, shush. Go ahead.
No. I at this point, I feel like Spencer's just trolling me.
Hey, if B minus is the worst we can say about this run so far, this is so much better than what we've been getting.
Oh
No,
yeah.
no.
doubt.
I mean, like, gripes about Stark and Carly Cooper aside, and facepalmy Thor, because that's not a Nick Spencer thing. That's a current Marvel thing. Marvel, pull your head out of your butt. All that aside, this is exponentially better than anything we had with Dan Slott.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is better. This is a level of writing that this book has not seen in a decade.
Yep.
That this book has not seen since Straczynski was on the book.
Mm-hmm.
This is solid stuff.
And so while we may gripe about that,
Yep.
and I don't want people to, because a lot of times people will listen to us and they'll focus on the cons, they'll focus on the negatives, and they act like we never said anything positive about anything. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
I really, JR's kind of the odd duck out right now. Nothing's really meshing with him, but I'm like, he's doing new stuff, and he's got enough of the old stuff, enough of the new stuff, and he's incorporating things very well, and he's doing it at the proper pace. He's doing it organically. None of this feels forced. None of this feels ham-handed or heavy-handed. This all feels good.
Yeah.
Except get Stark and Carly Cooper out of my damn Spider-Man comics.
I think we can also say that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Neil.
I think we can at the very least say that Spencer is having a ton of fun writing his run because he's clearly having a ball just writing these characters.
JR, rebuttal to George. Has this the Spider-Man we've had since Straczynski?
Well, I'm about to say that's a pretty low threshold there, George. There wasn't much good after Straczynski.
That's what I'm saying. The bar was pretty low over the last 10 years.
George was actually able to capture a lot of what I feel about the title that I couldn't quite articulate, probably because I'm so old. I mean, even though I haven't been enamored of it, but he said he's right. I mean, it feels like storytelling.
Yeah,
decent storytelling. I mean, like I said, it hasn't resonated with me yet, but like George said, there's none of the ham-handedness. There's none of the characters completely acting out of whack. Not a lot of just the stupid things that happen. And I don't want to go into that, but just, you'd have under Slott's run, you would just have moments of what the hell was that? People don't act like that. People don't do that, so you're not having that here. So anyway, so I was going to say George articulated that for me.
On Spencer's run right now feels like actual writing.
Yeah.
Slott's run for
very
10 years felt like some dude trying to do memes.
It's understanding the craft of comic book storytelling, and I think that Spencer gets it far better than Slott does.
Oh yeah.
Slot is I always said Slot's an ideas guy. He can throw a million ideas against the wall. But one of the most condemning statements I ever heard was from Tom DeFalco himself, saying anybody can have ideas, but can you write stories?
Yeah.
True. True.
Mhm.
That's a good one to end on. Thank you to our YouTubers for watching. We're going to be back in 10 minutes. We're going to record Spider Jeopardy. That'll be posted on the site later.
We should mention, Brad. We should go ahead and mention now.
Yes.
We're not gonna have YouTube chat during Spider Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Just in case, because we don't want people blurting answers and everything else, and having our contestants hear them. If you want to discuss what's going on, please go to the Discord, and I'll post the post the Discord one more time in our.
Do we want to make a Spider Jeopardy category, or do we just want to keep it in the YouTube crawl space section?
Just let people discuss it in general. General's fine.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah. So go to the Discord. Don't do like Brad and click that link like 3, 4, 5, 6 times because it creates like a new user profile every damn time you click it. So just click it the one time and then remember all of your stuff. And then just sign in.
I click it every time.
And so yeah, if you guys want to discuss what's going on with Spider Jeopardy, please do it on the Discord on the general.
And George will manage that while we're doing our.
George is going to be very busy while we're doing this. So
that's a nice plug for the Discord. All right,